When there's something like overwhelm or burnout or demoralization, there's misalignment there. Let's get curious about that misalignment and start digging into what is mine to carry, what is not mine to carry. Even within the what is mine to carry, what of that is essential? We get conditioned to believing that our worth is diminishing the more tired and exhausted and demoralized and overwhelmed we are. Recognizing that is toxic and not true. So letting the thing that you feel like has complete control over you go is scary until you do it. And then you realize how much you've been carrying that was unhealthy. Yes, this is a miserable moment, but it's going to be so cool on the other end. And we're going to get through this, and I'm going to let you shine as your own hero.
Welcome to Live Well, Be Wise, the podcast that deepens the well-being conversation, finding the gold in your stories of hardship and the connection to wise action and lived wellness.
We are your hosts, Dorinda Carlson
and Kari Lyons-Price. We sat down today with Jamie Johnson, a new friend and neighbor in the Upper Valley. She shared with us about how she came to leave the vocation that she loved, teaching. Suffering from overwhelm and demoralization, Jamie says she was no longer willing to be the face of success in an education system that was failing to give its students what they needed. We talk about what it means to stay in a system and culture that doesn't align with your values, nor allow you to care for your most basic needs, like taking a bathroom break, which was her experience. Hence, she wrote a book, and it's called Teach and Still Have Time to Pee. We unpack the deeper threads of overwhelm, motivation, and getting comfortable with allowing struggle for ourselves and for those we love and support. Her business is called Kick-Ass Teacher, and she's been involved with education in various ways for 25 years. Okay, friends, that's enough for me. Here's our conversation. We're so excited today, February 23rd, 2026, to welcome to the show Jamie Johnson, our very first Upper Valley resident from Leavenworth. Yeah, welcome in, Jamie. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. Wow. First Upper Valley. Yay.
Yay, I know.
Amazing. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to talk with you guys today. And I'm really thrilled with topics you've been covering and what you're bringing to the community. So thank you.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about why you're here and who you are in the world.
Sure. Well, I think this all started over a conversation about overwhelm in our Healing Arts Collective group. And I happen to be an overwhelm support coach. And I kind of came into this the hard way through my own experience with overwhelm. I had spent years as a bilingual educator in one of the highest pressure districts in one of the highest pressure states. And over time, I started experiencing more being added to my plate while at the same time, a $9,000 pay cut in 2 years. So I was also being asked to support policies that I knew were harmful to kids, and I had to make some tough decisions. So in the end, I didn't step away because I was just tired. I was really becoming demoralized. I loved teaching. I wanted to teach kids. I wanted them to really have that chance to love learning and question everything. But I was watching our system at that time start to override the good teaching. And so I jumped in and decided, well, if I'm eventually going to be teaching for free, I'm going to do that on purpose. And I joined the Peace Corps and became a mentor educator in Indonesia for a few years. And during that experience, the thing that surprised me was that this overwhelm in our service systems and education systems was not just in the United States. And halfway around the world, educators were experiencing the same thing. Yes, it was a different context, but it was very much the same pressure. Yeah, I realized, it wasn't our personal failure. It was systemic issues that, it started me thinking and questioning, well, if it's systemic, what can we
Yeah.
do about this? So then I went on to found a kick-ass teacher to support overwhelmed educators, and it's kind of expanded from there to overwhelmed anybody.
So what
And
is Kick-Ass Teacher?
yeah,
You say you founded it.
it was my business for overwhelmed support coaching for educators.
Okay, for
And I really
educators.
started out wanting to focus on my colleagues and coworkers and that world that I really knew.
Hmm.
And that's where the book Teach and Still Have Time to Pee came from. And then it has just over the last 10 years continued to evolve. Yeah.
That's what I was going to mention. You started out doing all this and then now have a book.
Yeah, and now I help really high capacity professionals navigate overwhelm. Not so it doesn't have to just be educators. Well, what I learned in my little corner of the world really it's a human thing. It's not just one
Right.
profession,
Yeah.
or one
Yeah.
system. It exists in a lot of places, and so I'm really thrilled to be able to offer that support to a lot of different amazing people around their
Mm.
community.
So I have to kind of uncurl this very compressed bio you've just given us because
Yes, just
there's a lot in there. I think what I'd love to hear first, perhaps, is why did you go into teaching?
Yeah, I went into teaching because I truly believed that that was the space I would have the chance to teach our people in this world to love learning. I love
Mm,
learning. And
mm,
I felt like I was worried that there wasn't a level of learning in general that I was seeing through my school years happening. So I really wanted to step in and teach that. And then I also wanted to be a part of teaching our global citizens to question everything, question everything. I felt like there was a lot of apathy coming around and just accepting what people say or what leaders say. And there's just so much fun in life when you have curiosity and you question things and it creates really healthy humanity. Those are my deeper layer reasons for going into education.
nice. So I have to ask, was there a personal experience with the question everything passion?
Oh, yeah. I think my personal experience began with that very young and it was with religion. And so I was raised sort of loosely in a Christian faith family, but their thing was to question everything. But then we'd go to like a traditional church and have questions and be shamed for having those questions. And
Mm,
so and I'm just so love having a mother that pushed back against that because she'd had the same experiences as a child and decided she was not going to raise her kids to learn not to ask questions. And she was
mm.
going to raise us to trust our own inner wisdom and keep digging deeper and resist that pressure to just accept the status quo.
Cheers to
So yeah, it goes deep.
Curiosity over conformity was kind of
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
motto,
Yeah.
perhaps. Mhm.
you just hit on something that I really connected a dot in my head that I hadn't thought about before when you were saying curiosity and questioning. That really creates healthy debate rather than from like a fast, hard belief system, but to be open
Mm.
to what possibilities there could be from just asking questions.
A healthy system invites questions for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so you went into teaching. What kind of age of kids? Give us sort of a sketch of how many years or what was the environment like?
I've been in education in some capacity for over 25 years now. But the core that really kicked off this whole teach and still have time to pee and kick ass teacher was my first 10 years as a bilingual elementary school teacher. And yeah, I had a regular classroom between 25 and 30 kiddos, and they were English language learners. And most of them were usually their other language would be Spanish. And then, other roles I've had, I was a mentor English teacher in Indonesia for a couple of years and worked with their high school English teachers at an Islamic high school there. And then I developed an alternative learning program for elementary and middle school kids who were basically dropping out of school as early as fourth grade. And so trying to really get a system in place that worked for those kiddos and their families. And that was an amazing experience.
Back in the States?
Yeah, that was here in Washington. Yeah, and then that was, oh man, entering into the world of alternative learning. And I got to work directly with our state community. And just there's so much available and there's so much flexibility that we don't know is there because we're taught not to question, just follow the script.
Right, interesting.
And we really don't have to. So that was eye-opening and helped a lot in the work that I do now. And then the other most recent thing I have done as an educator was I was the curator of education at the Wenatchee Museum. I've done all kinds of things. I've taught all ages up through adults, and I just really enjoy that role.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're at your core, it's all about sort of this empowerment, teaching, coaching,
absolutely,
yeah, model.
absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, but here's the deal.
Yes.
We want to talk about what was the core of sort of the breakdown. Walk us into like the hardship time and when you knew you had to shift and change. And
Yeah. I didn't know it at the time. I have words for it now that I didn't have back then. But the best word for the time I really knew things weren't aligned in my role in the elementary classroom that I was in. And this has happened a few times over my life. I think this is a normal part of living. You outgrow things. But the first time, so 10 years into my teaching, I became demoralized. And I love that word when I didn't know that word at the time, but I learned it. And just that misalignment between, when you're being asked to operate inside a system that really conflicts with my values. I had students who were going through some of the most atrocious life experiences you could imagine. And I was in a very low income school and I was asking for resources that they had legal rights to and being denied those resources. And, year after year, their response would be, well, who's going to pay for that? And my response is we all are eventually, this, person is going to suffer and then we all suffer.
Very good point.
I just watched this cycle keep happening. I mean, I get emotional talking about this, but where beautiful human beings, young human beings, were being dismissed and allowed to experience harm when we knew it was coming. But until something bad really happens, and sometimes multiple times, nothing will be done and no funding or budget is allocated to the mental and emotional health experts we need for kids in those situations and families in those situations. I was doing things like home visits for every single one of my students, and that was hugely helpful. But also, you get very attached and I want to be attached. I want to be that person who loves, her students and her clients. And so I can't just sit by and watch them be hurt. So really in the end, it was that demoralization when I'm being asked to just continue along status quo, follow the script, keep your blinders on, just do your job. And I know that this is harmful to kids. Could not participate in that anymore.
So you're being told to be a bystander.
Yes. Yes.
is there just something that could give people that maybe don't have a clue of the suffering that teachers witness every day in terms of their students and needs that aren't being met?
Sure. There's things like, children being molested and raped. There are things like children with severe mental struggles like schizophrenia and not having adults in their life who really help with the medication and things like that. And so they then create very dangerous situations for themselves and others. I mean, they can do harm to their bodies, like jumping off of things thinking that they can fly, for example, or that concrete is water. I've watched in the faces of my children with real struggles like that. I mean, literally saying, I don't want to lose it, but I can feel I'm going to. And I'm thinking, if I can just get you to, the office or a safe space before we end up on the news, I'm having to, leave the rest of my other 25 kids alone or so, to try and make sure that this one student is getting where they need to be and is safe. Just not a system set up to really have one adult in a room for all of these kids with all of these needs. Title of my book, Teach and Still Have Time to Pee, is very literal.
Right.
How do you go to the bathroom when there's 25 kids in the room that you can't leave by themselves?
And you can't wait till 3 o'clock, Jamie? Come
No,
on.
I know. I know.
You're not issued a bigger bladder when you become a teacher?
Well, when I did go to the doctor for several, bladder, urinary tract infections, whatever, and
Sure.
one doctor says to me, "Well, you're a teacher." He said, "You and RNs have the highest rate of bladder infections
Mhm.
because you guys don't take time to pee." And that was another part of my demoralization. I thought, wow, I'm in work where I don't have time for the most basic self care. That's not sustainable. That's not okay. It's not sustainable. And I'm not getting support when I ask for a solution.
In my earlier life, I was a social worker in schools. So when I hear you talk about your experiences as the teacher, all I'm thinking is you're the teacher, but you're also the social worker. And in a
Mhm.
lot of cases, you're also the parent, or you're doing tasks or you want to do tasks that you hoped the adults at home, the parents, could do. I can imagine every day the overwhelming amount of thoughts and actions that you wanted to act on in terms of what could I do, outside of just the curriculum. The day must have been overwhelming.
Perfect word for it. Yes.
Well, you couldn't even, I mean, the feeling of overwhelm, but then also you have this situation where you can't take care of the people you want to take care of, and you can't take care of yourself. Just like, I mean, that's what the title of your book is about.
So, what was the moment, or if it wasn't one moment, what kind of pushed you out of that?
It was a particular student before Christmas break. I had reported on, okay, here we are again. This something bad's going to happen to this kiddo. And again, I'm met with, well, there's nothing we can do. Who's going to pay for it? It's not in the budget. And I'm like, people are not budgets. Everything we do should start with what's good for the student, not what's good for the budget. The budget needs to fit that. So then we come back from Christmas break. Yeah, and just I'm not going to share the story, but some really terrible things had happened, and I thought I can no longer support this system. The harder I work and the more I shine, because at that point I was winning some awards. I was making our system look really good, like it was working, but I wasn't following the rules. I was breaking a lot of the rules to do that and getting, like you said, punished for breaking those, well, on one hand, while getting awards on the other hand. And I thought, if the longer I make this look good and like it's working,
Yeah.
the longer it's going to stay the same. And these kids that I'm working with are going to continue to suffer while a very select few benefit. No matter how guilty I feel,
Mhm.
I have to step away and let the balls drop so we can see some change. So people will see there needs to be some change.
And what was that like for you, just as a human, in your body and your mind and heart?
Oh, I love teaching. I love my classroom and I love the kids. And like you said, empowerment kind of underlies it all. I love empowering youth. I love empowering whoever I'm working with. And so to pull myself out of that, there was a lot of guilt and leaving my colleagues who I had built a really strong collegial relationship with. And we had built systems and changed things in the system together successfully. And on something you'd worked so hard toward, too, it's hard to let go of the things you've built.
Did it feel like a failure?
I think before I did it, it started to feel I would buy into some of those ideas that if you're not, you just can't work hard enough or something, or you just don't have what it takes. But as I got closer to it, I thought, no, it's not that. It's that I don't want to support what I don't believe is healthy. So it didn't feel like a failure. It felt like I was moving on to a lifelong dream, which was Peace Corps. And I think it was my first experience just recognizing, oh, there are seasons to things like careers and relationships and just life in general. And I'm just shifting seasons. And that's what it felt
Mm-hmm.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Allowing myself to open up to that and choose a path of integrity for myself.
What was it like for you to experience overwhelm? I mean, literally, like in your brain, in your cells.
Yeah. I mean, your cortisol levels spike. So you feel like you're being chased by lions all day and you're running along and your heart's racing constantly. And then culturally, you also would feel this sense that if you don't look like you're running along, if you look for a second like you're at peace and you're chill and relaxed, oh, watch out because other people are going to get upset with you. Because you must be lazy or you must not be doing your job. Or it felt like, number one, physically it was exhausting and your brain is not efficient under overwhelm at all.
Mm.
So you spin in circles and have to do things over and over again. And then number two, it felt like culturally that was the expectation. So you were operating on, you had become, adapted to, oh, this is just the
Yeah.
culture and the way it is,
Right.
which is not, does not have to be true.
So it wasn't in the job description, but it's absolutely part of the culture of teaching.
Yeah, of education and
Yeah.
like you said, social work, nonprofits. I've been in many sectors now where I'm like, oh, I recognize this culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you saw this repeated. Just like you just mentioned, you saw this in, other cultures. And of course you saw it when you went off to Peace Corps. Yeah. When,
Hmm.
you started there again. And so that's interesting that actually you were led on a path to this to find some answers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the way you said it, I think, was that you recognized it wasn't just a teacher's issue, it was a human issue, overwhelm. So speak to that a little bit. How did you kind of put those together and what did you make of it?
Well, what jumps to my mind, I started kind of unraveling this. I would say one of the first books I read that really helped me start to go that direction was Daniel Pink's book called Drive, The Secret to What Motivates Us, and his research on human motivation. And so I took that because I was thinking my overwhelm was somehow just a lack of motivation.
So you felt like you weren't enough. It was that enoughness.
Totally. Yeah. So I started researching this, and so the three tiers of human motivation: sense of purpose, mastery, and then autonomy. But the secret nugget for me was that autonomy section, which is broken into four parts: autonomy over time, task, technique, and team. And I thought, well, I need to get a handle on these for myself. So, what are little bits of autonomy I can start claiming? The cool thing was, I also decided, well, my students don't have these things either. Obviously, they have a lot of opportunities for mastery, but they don't have always a great sense of purpose. Why am I writing this essay or filling out this test? And so, really helping them lean into their sense of purpose. And those four parts of autonomy showed me that if I lean into those as well, I'm feeling definitely more empowered. And then I thought, wait a second, the problem here is that the whole culture isn't embracing this for everyone. I think it's important as a leader, we need to give people a lot more autonomy over those four things and hire people we can trust with that autonomy. If we don't trust them for those things, we should not be hiring them. And so to me, I realized, wow, I'm not trusted with these things. And so that's another layer. Oh, I'm not trusted as a professional. I'm not respected. My voice doesn't matter. And then that's where that any human, you start to feel burnout, demoralized when you sense that you can't make a change, even in your own small corner. Your voice will not be heard, or you believe that.
Yes, you believe it. And then you can never get to your purpose, can you, without autonomy?
Yes, you can. You have I had my purpose. I knew my
Mhm.
purpose, and that's why I felt guilty leaving. I
Mhm.
was there to help kids love learning and question everything and to empower them. So my purpose was strong. A calling profession like teaching comes with that. But when you land there and then people are leaning on you, that deep sense of purpose and calling and taking advantage of it because they know how much you want to be there. They don't pay you well for it. They don't want you to have a voice at the decision making table. That's when the disconnect starts to happen.
So, do those three things need to have balance? Is that the key?
Yeah. Well, according to the research and according to my personal lived experiences and experiments with them, if you make sure those three things are there, if you're leading someone, you make sure they're there, oh my gosh, your team just takes off. If you can find ways, so in your own profession, sometimes you're not the boss or the leader. So you have to find micro opportunities for autonomy. And in teaching, I share a little bit about this in my book, but it's one of my favorite examples. I was like, well, I really do need more autonomy over my time. I don't get to eat lunch. I don't get my breaks. I don't have time to pee, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to start there. And I went to my principal of that school, and we had these certain days. Some Monday mornings we'd have off to do prep, which was very rare. It was usually meetings. But I asked that on those Mondays, I don't want to come in and do that here at the school because then everybody needs.
Right.
And even if I lock my door and turn out my lights, they still find me. So I'm going to stay home and do my planning and grading and stuff there. And she said, sure. And so then we expanded that to, you know what? Also on Thursday and Fridays, I want to leave with the kids. I don't want to stay the hour I'm required. So can I move those hours to Monday and Tuesday? Because I want to go snowboarding. I want to do
Yes.
something healthy for myself. And she said, sure. So, as far as the humanness, that autonomy over those little things in your role are key. And just finding little ones makes a big difference.
Mm. So, what again was the three pillars of motivation?
A sense of purpose,
Purpose.
and then a chance mastery. So, chances to learn and master new things, and autonomy.
Autonomy. I love that. I love that you questioned your own motivation. It's so human to often believe that we're having any kind of failure because we're not motivated enough.
Yes,
We
yeah.
instantly learn that, oh, well, are you trying hard enough? Right? Are you getting up early enough? Are you
Hmm.
on social media enough? Are you marketing hard enough? Is your back strong enough out in the fields? And it's like, wow, there's so many layers to the truth of that. And I think you could probably thank your mom and your core family of origin, right, for helping you
Hmm.
be a curious person, perhaps,
Yeah.
because you learned to question everything, as you said when we started, even your own sense of what's going on here. Am I not motivated? And what is motivation anyway?
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
That second
Yeah.
question is particularly interesting to me. What is motivation? What is my motivation? What is the recipe, if
Yeah.
you will, that makes it up? So, overwhelm, motivation, and then you put yourself in what I think of as almost like a meat grinder of curiosity. Like, right, I got to break it down and figure out who am I going to be on the other side. That was a terrible metaphor, by the way. Really disgusting.
That's what overwhelm feels like, though.
Right? Overwhelm does feel like that. You feel braided up, ground up. Just
Yeah. And it's not a beautiful, easy transformation. Always, does take effort, and it does take sometimes really big shifts that can be ugly and scary and feel just like that
Yeah,
grinder. you
yeah.
know?
Well, actually, one of our favorite questions is, what did you have to unlearn in this process to become who you are now or to be sharing this wisdom of the journey?
Yeah. I had to unlearn that being overwhelmed meant I was failing. I had to unlearn that endurance or grit or whatever you want to call it meant virtue.
Let's pause two really big things.
A lot I unlearned, yeah.
So number one, you disconnected the equation of overwhelm to personal failure.
Yeah.
Any one little nugget about how you did that for others who might be in the same place?
I just really think it was leaning into that curiosity and realizing, wait a second, it's this systemic failure to support kids. That's the failure. It's not my failure to endure that. And like you
Right.
said, be a bystander to that. I have integrity. I have
Yeah.
morals. That is the opposite of failure to stand by those. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to question the environment in which we're
Hmm.
standing.
Co-created, right? We're a part of the scenario, but there's that whole other situation out here. And I think oftentimes we do question just us because we're in this body right here. But to note that it's all together, intertwined. So there's another half to question.
Yeah.
Every system has its challenges in those ways. Government, all the way through for profit, nonprofit, it's everywhere. But it is so wise, I think, to question when we're feeling as if we're failing. It's important to say, we're not looking to, it's like, who's to blame? I'm failing. It's a
Right.
very
Right.
different energy than what's the reality of the conditions under which I'm having this experience.
Mhm. I think that's the thing is when I was teaching and I was thinking I was overwhelmed because I wasn't strong enough or whatever, it wasn't that. I was realizing, okay, actually, no, it's not that I'm weak, it's that there's a misalignment here. And so I really
Mhm.
learned to think, okay, when there's something like overwhelm or burnout or demoralization, there's misalignment there. Let's get curious about that misalignment and start digging into what is mine to carry, what is not mine to carry. Even within the what is mine to carry, what of that is essential?
Mm. That's a beautiful recipe.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, beautifully said.
Yeah. Yeah. It's making the meat grinder thing look better now.
We're coming out on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you're just breaking it down, and that's always the challenge when we're in a stress state like overwhelm, right? Is getting to the reality of the parts and how do
Hmm.
we sort of systemically break it down for ourselves to see what's mine,
Yeah.
what's theirs, what am I in control of?
Yes.
And then our second part was what?
Two gems to unlearning. Yeah, what was the second one?
So I had to unlearn that endurance equals virtue or integrity.
Right. That
Hmm.
sort of stick it out, got to just make this work.
That is interesting. I just had this image in my head with your hair all frayed and you have this crazed look on your face, and that equals success? How is that even possible?
But with a really good smile, that's probably fake.
It's an absent smile, absent minded.
Yeah. I haven't heard a lot of people come to that one, so I'd say a little bit more about that.
The power through mindset is equal to your worth or value or virtue. People will use great ideas like the idea of grit and turn it into something really toxic, like, you just don't have enough grit then to do this. You should just have more motivation, more energy, like be more dedicated. And we get conditioned to believing that our worth is diminishing the more tired and exhausted and demoralized and overwhelmed we are,
Mm.
rather than recognizing, wait, that is toxic and not true. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, let's take a pause. There's misalignment somewhere here and get curious.
Right.
What is that? Where's it
Right.
coming from? What's not lining up for me? What's being challenged within me? And it's not just being asked to do more and do more and do more. It's, are you being treated fairly? Are you treating yourself fairly? Are you setting boundaries? All the good stuff to question.
Well, I have to say, from my experience, I mean, that toxic statement about work harder and sometimes getting slapped with the label of grit is so pervasive. It's like it's at the cornerstone of our whole country, don't you think?
I think, yeah, Western culture can really dig into that. And beautiful word with a lot of good research around it that we kind of get slapped with, or two of them. One is resilience. Just not resilient enough. Be resilient. What's wrong with you? And the other one, I used to call it the A word. I got so tired of hearing about it, is accountability.
Yes.
Yes, implying that I need to be held accountable, or else am I going to do a good job? You know, so let's just pile these things on and this extra work to hold you accountable.
Is that word
So
used a lot in education, I'm guessing?
that word is used a lot now.
Teachers are held accountable for their students' outcomes, in essence, right?
Oh, all kinds of things. Yeah.
And that is what your curiosity is about, right? It keeps going to that, is questioning,
Mhm.
questioning, questioning.
I can think of a lot of personal and professional people I know that would have real fear about breaking out of the mold, being that person that does it different or pauses their life that looks so successful too.
Or it might feel risky.
I think in that book, Demoralized, she named three kind of categories of people that stood out to me there in regards to that. There are rule followers, there are rule breakers, and there are rule changers. So people who feel really afraid of breaking out, a lot of times we're afraid of breaking out because we're worried about losing our job.
Mhm.
And our safety net and our benefits and so there's these golden handcuffs come along with a job and a paycheck. And one example I give is when I first stepped away from teaching, in between teaching and Peace Corps, I didn't want to leave mid-year. So I took a job as a barista. It was amazing. It was like this rest and this fun and this pause. So letting the thing that you feel like has complete control over you go is scary until you do it. And then you realize how much you've been carrying that was unhealthy. I don't know, I don't think there's a way to make it not scary if it's scary. I think it's
Right.
just going to be scary.
Mhm.
And you have to decide, do I want to live the next 10 years the same way that I am right now? If nothing changes, how's that going to be for me? And if the answer is no, I can't do that, then when is the best time to start making those changes? I say it's worth 5 minutes of extreme discomfort to save 10 years of complete misery. Like just rip that band-aid off, be scared, mess it up. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because a little mess for a short amount of time to have a long life of health and happiness is
Mhm.
absolutely worth it.
Yay. We would love to ask you two things. Let's start with, what do you feel like is one or two little pearls of wisdom that you have gained in your life, kind of going through all that you've been through on this journey? And how is that related to your own sense of wellness?
I think one of the big pearls of wisdom, and it's actually been showing up a lot lately, we've talked a little here about guilt and clinging to things that might be toxic or unhealthy or overwhelming because of that. And so learning to let go of that identity of being the strong one who carries all of this quietly,
Mm.
and then instead allowing people to be their own heroes and
Mm.
getting comfortable with allowing struggle and loving people through that, but allowing that because there's so much learning that happens in there. And when we show up as the hero and the rescuer and we carry the things and drag people down the street to what we think is best for them, we're not only exhausting ourselves, we might really be pulling them off the path and a learning experience that they need to have.
I love that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sit back and again, just look at what is yours to carry, and within that, what is essential there, and allow other people to carry what belongs to them, and do it in their way.
Yeah, so let others be their own hero. Wow.
Mm.
Mhm.
Has that helped you live better, feel well, be well in your own life?
I think allowing other people to be their own hero helps me become less reactive in situations and not panic and try to jump to the rescue and fixing and abandon everything that's important to me or going on for me to fix something that's broken somewhere else. So I'm much calmer when I'm faced with someone who I love or a client or whomever who's going through a struggle, and I embrace that idea that this is, this is their hero's journey, and I can be here to be loving, but I don't, my blood pressure doesn't get high, and I don't feel that sense of overwhelm trying to fix
Mhm.
everything around me. So it
Yeah.
just keeps me more balanced.
Yeah, you can support them, but you don't have to be that for them.
Yeah.
That's a real skill.
I think going through life, having my own struggles, and then watching so many people come through their own struggles, you start to learn to see it as, yes, this is a miserable moment, but it's going to be so cool on the other end. And we're going to get through this, and I'm going to let you shine as your own hero.
Yay! You just touched on like the whole reason we're doing this, Jamie. Nice job.
I like that you named it. This is miserable right now. Yeah, that's a kind of what life is, right? Yeah. I mean, that's living life. This is a miserable moment right
We don't
now.
call it the meat grinder for nothing, people.
Right, right.
Yeah. Word I was thinking when you were sharing that, the gift. You could step back and see that the hardship journey was going to become a gift and you didn't want to interrupt their process,
Yeah.
but you wanted to be a support.
I know personally, I like to be a cheerleader.
I think we know we want to be cheerleaders because we know the importance of that role, probably because you've needed some. And either you had them or you didn't have them. And you knew that. I know that is so true for me. The team, the healing team that I've had in my life when I was in my darkest times with depression, those cheerleading roles, they were more important or as important as my doctors on the team. The value there is so high in really allowing that failure, the messiness, as Brene Brown would say, face down in the arena in our own muck. But being witness and being a support to others on that journey is also another way I think of encouraging to say, you can do this. We have all done this. We're not here to watch, just to laugh or to hope that you make it. We're here on the sidelines because we know this has been done before and you will make this. Yeah.
Some of the biggest supportive things that I've heard is when it is miserable and messy, and just that acknowledgement that, yep, it is, and that's okay. Nothing, it's not wrong. It's just miserable, and
Yeah.
it passes. You get through it, and there's no way for it not to be scary or icky.
Mm.
It just is as you go through it. But you're going through it. That means you come out on the other side.
So, if you had a prompt by way of like a question for our listeners, something they might ask themselves if they were in a hard place or anywhere on the journey that you've been that you feel like was a good question for you.
I'll stick with kind of the theme we've been talking about, overwhelm representing a misalignment. So, what if your overwhelm isn't a sign that you're failing, but is a sign that something needs to change? What would that be?
Oof, that's like gold. And I think I'm going to need a new journal.
Right?
That could
Yeah.
be a whole chapter, Jamie.
In your daily life, what are your go-tos for you to be where you are today? Are there any things that you do in particular as far as ritual or everyday habits that help support you?
I think as an entrepreneur now, like running my own schedule, really identifying to what activities draw energy from me and what activities restore and what activities are neutral. And I try to kind of map out my calendar on any given week to have no more than 3 or 4 drawing energy activities,
Mm.
and then to have an abundance of those restorative moments. And as far as to be concrete about the restorative moments, for me, 100% getting out in nature is vital. So
Mm.
trying to get outside every day in some capacity, walk the dogs for an hour if I can. But even if I don't have a whole hour to go sit outside in the grass or just breathe in the fresh air, I need to go talk to the trees for a few minutes. Then I feel better.
Yeah, I love a cathedral of trees.
What do you think the medicine is of nature for you?
Well, I believe that we exist in this sea of universal love that flows through and around and is part of everything. And when I'm in nature and in the trees, I just have that sense that they don't think I'm weird for thinking that, first of all. But I can just feel the sense that we are very connected, and trees are our supreme role model for peace and passivity too. I mean, they just sit there and let kind of everything happen that's going to happen. So I just think the connection for me is just that being able to sense something bigger than myself and connect with it without judgment. And sometimes when it's people, there can feel like there's a little bit of judgment. So when I'm
Hmm.
out in nature, I don't feel any of that. I can just let myself go as far out as I can.
That's beautiful.
Just swim in it.
That's the cream on my coffee right there.
Oh,
It's my cocoa whip.
As you were speaking, I held my heart and took a deep breath because that's what I would do with the forest and the trees. So you already put me there.
Yeah.
Nice. I
yay.
appreciate that. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you for asking and inviting me.
Yes. Thank you so much. We just really appreciate that you're here in the world because you have learned to ask questions and be on your own heroine's journey. We'll put all the notes linking to Jamie's work in the show notes, and also to the new Healing Arts Collective that's here in the Valley, which is how Jamie and I met. So I have to give plug to that new community, a beautiful collection of people doing all kinds of healing arts, a way for us to have a deeper and broader conversation here in the Valley around what healing is.
Loving this community.
Yes, so glad to be here with you and be part of it.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed this, and it's just wonderful to talk with you both.
Live Well, Be Wise is produced and recorded by Kari Lyons Price and yours truly, Dorinda Carlson. Our music is titled Inside You by Leva, a musician and composer at Lemon Music Studio, who we happily found on pixabay.com. Our circle of sharing has concluded for today, but we'd like to give a great gratitude to you, my friend, for listening, for tuning in, maybe even tapping into that understanding and compassion and the knowing within that tells us we're not alone in our own stories. So maybe you would like to share one of your own, or know a friend or a mentor or a teacher, someone you admire that has an extraordinary and inspirational story. We all have stories. The more we share, the more we know we're not alone. And don't be shy to reach out to connect in other ways, too. Of course, we'd love for you to subscribe and also give feedback. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate you. Live well, be wise.